Indigenous people. 370 million indigenous people in the world, spread over 70 countries, 5,000 different groups, and we will focus on these three groups: Native Americans, the Maori, and the Aboriginal. The Native American. The Native American lived in America a long time before Christopher Columbus arrived in America in 1492. It is said that the first people who arrived in America was at the end of the last ice age, that means 16,000 years ago. When Columbus arrived in America, he thought he had hit the country India, so he called those who were there for Indians. Europeans came to America, they took their horses with them. Many horses escaped and the population grew in the wild. The Native Americans captured and tamed the horses so they could use them. The horses became a very important animal for the Native Americans. The horses did what that it was easier to hunt, they got more food and they could even use food to trade items with. This was a good thing that the Europeans brought. The Europeans brought with them diseases such as chickenpox, measles, and smallpox. The Indians did not have antibiotic against these diseases like the Europeans had, so it was much more mortality. This was many of the not so good reasons that Europeans came to America. Which dress and costumes varies greatly from one nation to another, but most tribes had faith and money too. Before Europeans arrived, the Native Americans had many instruments they used, but after the colonization it becomes more common with drum and flute. The Maori. Maori are an indigenous people who live in New Zealand, but is originally from Polynesia. There are about 700,000 Maoris left on the earth. Modern research has determined that the Maori came to New Zealand by the sea about 1280s. Before there were many theories about how the Maori came to New Zealand, but they have now been abandoned. In Maori's ancient nature religion had their ancestors an important role. They believed that ancestors would help them to exercise black magic, which may have been one of the many reasons for all those blood commons between those. Maori are divided into tribes. Each tribe has its own leader. Maori moose as were the best food researchers. In the autumn and winter they live on hunting on animals, and in the summer they are close to the sea for fishing and growing vegetables. Maori's war was very little blood and few got killed, but the war could last for several generations. Since there was so much war at that time, you were considered as old when you were 40. If you was old, you got a high respect because you have been a good warrior. In the beginning there was the relationship between Maori and Europeans quite as good, but as the Europeans became more and more, the conflicts began. The introduction of firearms made so that many Maori's lives were lost too. The war in 1860 to 1865, the Maori tribes got together and broke down the resistance to the colonization. Haka. Haka is a traditional war dance for the Maori people. Aborigines. Australia's indigenous people. There is about 400,000 Aborigines in Australia, about 2% of Australia's population. Aborigines arrived in Australia about 40,000 to 60,000 years ago and is the oldest indigenous people of the world. Likely they came with rafts. In the beginning, England used Australia as a penal colony, and Aborigines were driven away from their lands. It is said that as many as 90% of the Aboriginal population died of disease that Englishmen took themselves. If they didn't die of disease, there was a danger that they were shot. A map where the Aborigines lived. It was constantly conflicts between the Aborigines and the English. It went so far that the English took the children to the Aborigines and sent them to the children's home. This has been described as the stolen generation. Boomerang is a hunting gear associated with Aborigines. This is a carved piece of wood shaped like a bow. Hunting boomerang was large and could kill a bird at 200 meters, but didn't glitter. The boomerangs that come back are only being used in the competitions and games. Aborigines flag. Sources: